which is nice. Right, so worthy competition, I must add. So I'm going to talk to you about what I think that out of home is the channel that superbly owns moments like no other. So we've seen for a long time just how integral out of home is to those big seasonal moments, particularly around kind of FMCG. So whether or not it's around the World Cup, London Fashion Week, or actually more everyday moments around weather, out of home now has this very real-time, very live ability to speak to the masses in the moment using location, which is its superpower. Brilliant example here of Aldi turning what would be a relatively mundane piece of store opening proximity in Southwest 19, making commentary around the tennis. So it was a brilliant campaign, but it's not just about the kind of hyper-local and these kind of small moments. Where we've seen brands come back and really embrace calendarising content, we've seen some really amazing activity, and Lego are one brand that are really leaning into the potential scale and impact of driving consideration of their brand by owning these really critical moments at the point of sale in the moments that really matter. And we know it works. Context is king. We know that it drives up to 17% more ad recall. We also know that it drives up to 16% sales effect. And this is from a huge data bank of case studies demonstrating the effectiveness. And we also know that it can drive results further down the funnel. So Uber Eats are another brand who have consistently come back and really embraced the contextual moments that they're advertising around, and famously activating around Ramadan. And we saw that in areas where they were running this piece of contextual copy, there were over 20% more orders versus areas where they weren't. So it works, and we've got real data to substantiate that and to support that fact. But what is the thing about out of home? What is the unique thing about out of home that really delivers in ways that other channels can't? And it's the fact that we are part of the fabric of society. So what other channel can activate in different languages that represent the community that is in that place at that time? Or, on the other end of the scale, activating these huge community moments like here at the Manchester Marathon, 30,000 runners, a celebratory message welcoming them in their sort of moment of sort of achievement and celebrating, capturing that in the public domain all at one time. Now, thanks to some of the ad tech, and I loved some of the kind of stuff that we've seen this morning, the sort of living in the moment and for those less planned moments is absolutely possible. And the capability that we now have in out of home is really kind of changing the dial. So Specsavers did this brilliantly back when La La Land were wrongly awarded Best Picture in the Oscars back in 2017. Now, at the time, this was a hugely manual process to get this live minutes after the campaign had run. But now, thanks to the ad tech capability, we can do this in the moment. And I think the fact that Channel 4, another publisher, another sort of news brand, were using out of home to park their van straight outside of Meta's office to make that very public statement around Meta's decision to pull back from their fact-checking service, I think is a brilliant way to use the power of our channel. But it's not just about PR. We've seen a few examples from Oasis. I don't know who was lucky enough to get the tickets, but Berghaus did an absolutely incredible campaign dominating and ring-fencing the iconic high-impact media in Manchester, showing that it doesn't have to be about digital. You can really use some of our classic inventory really powerfully. They also did a nomination around Wembley Stadium, so we've spoken a bit about Harry and thinking about that cultural zeitgeist moment. It was hugely effective. The campaign drove ad awareness by 300%, and the jacket itself sold out in 72 hours. Now, the thing that I loved most about this campaign was the fact that they used some of the out-of-home campaign imagery into their CRM communication the following day with their customers, and it felt like a really nice rounded story that fused kind of e-commerce, the power of brand in a kind of a really sort of central way. And I should say that this campaign was so popular that some of the creative and the vinyls were actually stolen from the station. Now, if that doesn't tell you that that was a powerful campaign that really resonated and connected with the consumer, I don't know what will. And so, obviously, we've got some huge moments coming up over the summer. Brands are regularly acting at the speed of culture in out of home, making the most of the capability of sort of preempting messaging, celebratory messaging in the moment. And I think that being able to do that in a very public way, in a very trusted channel, is really our kind of unique point of difference. And acting at the speed of culture, it's incredibly powerful, and there's no other channel like it. This was a firm favourite for me last year. Iron Brew activating on behalf of Scotland as they got announced for the World Cup. And so that playful humour, I think, is a really brilliant way to connect with your audience and to make sure that we're speaking in the right moment, in the right place, to the communities where it really matters. Thank you.